Hello and welcome back to Taking You with Mike and JD. I'm JD.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to be talking about Week 5 of the 2023 NFL season. So, like always, I'm going to start with the Packers. I'm going to kick it over to Mike. But I actually have a couple of questions for you, Mike. So, I meant to ask you this last week, but we were unable to record. So the Packers were sitting at, I believe, 2-2, right? Through four going into the game last night?
Yes,
And they kind of
that is correct.
Jordan Love, he played in 4 games. My question was going to be, he kind of played in 4 different games. He played in one game where they dominated, one game where they played bad, but then he came back in the fourth quarter and led his team to victory. One game where they got, like the crap kicked out of them. So it was kind of like, did you think it was a good thing to have him in his starting career, like get those out of the way early? But then the last 2 weeks, he's just been bad. Now the whole team has been bad, but I think he played his worst game last night when I was watching it. I don't think he played very well, but
No.
so it felt like he was getting those games out early. He was being tested in all different scenarios, is my point, through the first couple of weeks. And I thought, okay, that's good for a guy starting his career. He gets a game where he balls out. He gets a game where they come back. He gets a game where they blow it at the end. That Atlanta game, they blow it and they lose late. And then they get the crap kicked out of him in Detroit. So he played in 4 games, all different outcomes. I thought it was a good way to get him tested. And then he just hasn't played very well. I don't think the whole offense has played very well. So going into last night, especially the last 2 games with Detroit and now Vegas, what do you think going on right now?
Yeah, like to start it off. I mean, I thought he's looked pretty well. Like I think, he's had rookie things and that. Like against Detroit, like I mean, Detroit are obviously a very good team this year. So I wasn't too concerned about Detroit. Like I was more like I wasn't concerned about Love against Detroit. I was concerned about the defense big time and a lot of the play calling. Like there was a lot of stuff I couldn't get why they were doing, and I didn't think Love had much chance to succeed there. But yeah, like last night was it was a huge concern for the whole team. It was a concern for Love. Like you would want to see after this bye, a lot of those things fixed up because the whole team played bad, but he made really, really poor decisions. Like
those his last 2 interceptions were really bad, and so the second one was the one that got tipped and bounced back right to Spillane, and a lot of times, like with Kenny Pickett has those kind of interceptions, I would blame more so the wide receiver, but I think that second interception was on Love because I don't know why he's throwing that ball to a covered wide receiver right in the middle of the field, but he threw it up, which is perfect range for a defender or even a wide receiver to tip it. So it was a bad throw to begin with, in the worst spot right in the middle of the field where a corner or a defensive back can tip it in the air and it goes right to Vegas. I thought that was really bad try to fit it in there, and then his interception to lose the game basically last night. He completely underthrew it. He had Watson open about 10 yards. If he's seen him, that would have been a touchdown, but he waited too long and then tried to fit it in and just got picked. So I think those were 2 very bad interceptions that he threw, and they're on him.
Yeah, look, I mean, to be completely honest, I thought his worst interception was his first one. I mean, because the other 2 were like the second one, really poor decision. The receiver was covered. The best case scenario would have been like if you look at like percentages, and that's what I think. He was a lot of low percentage plays from him last night. So the second one, in terms of percentages, the percentage of that actually being caught is below 10%. Like it would have been a miraculous play from the receiver to catch that. The high percent is it gets tipped and it's an incomplete, and the 30%, which is what come off, it gets tipped and it's an interception. So really bad. Like the third one, bad throw, underthrown, and it looks like his reads were off there.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's Hail Mary shit there anyway. But that first one, I mean, it was directly to it. It was it wasn't like the defender actually did anything to get it. Like it was. I mean, it was like if he was wearing a Packers jersey, it would have been like best fucking completion of the night, right on his chest in open space. You know what I mean? Like that was bad for me because it looked like he was throwing it to there. It wasn't like he got himself in a great position and it was going to the receiver. Like it was a bad read. It was a bad throw. It was bad.
And because now I am thinking back at it, I think I just forgot how bad of an interception it was because I was thinking about the last two. But yeah, that first interception, there's 4 Raiders standing in between him and the wide receiver, and he doesn't even throw it up. It wouldn't have even gotten to the wide receiver had Roberts Blaine not intercepted it. It would have skipped and bounced. So it was, come to think of it, the worst interception, but I think the last 2 were at worst times in the game. But, I mean, that was with them trying to get points before the end of the half there. But I just feel like the last couple of weeks, and hopefully, like, my point in the beginning is hopefully since this is in the beginning of his starter career that he can get these out and say, you know what, I can't make those throws, I can't do that. So hopefully that he is smart enough to learn from these throws because they, like you said, they weren't high percentage throws. They were very low. Like, what are you doing trying to throw those? And his reads were totally off on that last drive. But I just haven't been impressed. The defense has been fine, but I haven't really been impressed with the Packers offense because as we talked about this last year a lot, where it's like 3rd and 4 and they throw deep for some reason. And Dillon had a pretty okay game running last night. I thought he looked the best he's looked this season. But there were a couple times where Jordan Love just needs 5 yards to continue the drive, and he's throwing it 30 yards down the field.
Yeah, that was what I was going to get to. Like that's what annoyed me the most about Love. Like that annoyed me more than the interceptions because, as you know, that was my biggest peeve with Rodgers towards the end was we're 3rd and short, and just heaving it downfield, and that's what Love started. And that was the biggest thing I loved about Love up until this point is he didn't do much of that. He took what was on offer. We need short, so you go short. Like I can't understand it. And it's that kind of thing. Is the play calling not like is the play calling for that, or is that him doing it? Because either way is a concern. But like my issue with last night's game is that I thought every aspect of the team, besides special teams for once, was a major concern. Like I was interested that you said you thought the defense played well. I didn't. I thought individually they played well. Like I thought Kenny Clark had a great game. Preston Smith was like I thought individually they were good, but like how Joe Barry got a job again, how he got employed with us in the first game, how he still has a job is beyond me. Like I would rather anyone else call the defense at this point. I mean, the plays happened several times where the Preston Smith is on Adams. What the actual fuck? Like, why? Like, why?
Well, I guess in my opinion, as far as like I thought they played well enough because they were kind of given a shit hand from the offense where the offense was moving, the defense was out. But for the turnovers and the mistakes and the good field position that Vegas was given to only give up 17 points, you take that from your defense every week. It's just 17 points, especially with those turnovers and stuff. So I thought, given the circumstances, at the end of the day, the defense was okay. It played pretty well. That should be, if your team's giving up 17 and you're supposed to be this good offensive team with a young quarterback, you should be able to score 20, 24 points.
Yeah, I agree. I think it played well in spite of itself. Like, there was a lot of individually very good players on that defense. Like, I think with even a half-decent defensive coordinator, they should be top 5 in defense most of the year. Like Joe Barry hamstrings them so much. This fucking, you know, he seems to it's like he gets bored. Like, we'll have a quarter where they're playing really aggressive up in your face, which is what our players are designed to do. Like, you've got guys like Rashawn Gary, um, Kenny Clark, and that they want to pressure the quarterback, and they do it well. And then as soon as not that getting a lead was an issue last night, but as soon as we get a lead, it's all fucking passive protect bullshit, which doesn't work. Like, that hasn't worked in the NFL for years. Like, it's like this cunt is stuck in the 80s or some shit. It annoys the fuck out of me. Like, every time he coaches, every time he remains in the job, reflects poorly on Matt LaFleur. Like, grow some fucking balls and get rid of him. And he's got his own issues with his play calling. Some of the play calling I didn't understand. And Dylan had it. Like, Dylan had a good game, 100%. But a lot of that shit. And what I feel like with some of the things Love needs to do is he needs to learn when to throw the ball away. Like, the play's not on, throw it away rather than throw it into harm's way. But I wonder if he's hamstrung there, and the fact that, like, we're just burning plays by, like, calling the play for Dylan to basically run into a stacked wall. Like, we were down in the red zone, and play 1, Dylan straight up the guts into a brick wall. I mean, they didn't even really tackle him. He kind of hit them and fell backwards because everyone was there. Play 2, exact same play. So now really, Love has one play to get a touchdown. Like, fucking ridiculous. And either he's, and it could just be Love, but I mean, if I'm putting myself in his place, I've got one play to make a play. Well, I'm going to have a bit of YOLO ball, but it's not going to work, and he does need to just go, play's not on, throw it away, live another day.
And that's something that I've been impressed with. Just not to completely turn over the Steelers, but what I've been impressed, at least with Kenny Pickett this year, is a lot of his bad interceptions last year was him trying to extend the play, and he throws it at an interception. This year, he has just been throwing away. And when it comes to the Packers, who haven't had very good offensive line play, Max Crosby was in the backfield all night last night. Like, Jordan Love maybe had 2 seconds to throw the ball, and that's where, if you're a good coordinator or a head coach, you adapt to, like, the short passing game. And that's why in these 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 4s, where they're throwing it 20 yards, doesn't make any sense. And you want to see, just like how we didn't record last week, but Houston knew that they were coming in against the Steelers, against TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, guys who can get after the quarterback. And so what did they do? They ran screens and short 3-step routes, and they just chewed the defense up. They took the best players out of the game. They took TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith out of the game because they couldn't get to sack the quarterback, and then they, like, it was really frustrating to watch, but it was good coaching because that's how you beat the Steelers defense. You're watching the Packers, and they don't have a very good offensive line. Max Crosby's in the background. Vegas is completely pressuring Love as to why you keep calling these huge routes. Like, that's where you want to do those 5 yards, and you just take the yardage they're giving you because, live to fight another day. If you get those 5 yards on 3rd and 5, it's a first down. That's at least another couple of minutes your defense isn't on the field, and they're at least resting.
Well, that's the thing. I thought Vegas actually showed, and look, Vegas aren't a good team. That's the other thing that really sucks. Like, it wasn't like, we went in and we had these 3 interceptions and we had these, all these plays getting blown up by a great team. Like, Vegas aren't a great team. Their offense isn't great besides Adams, who really had a fairly quiet night. And outside of Max Crosby, who is, like, I mean, to be honest, I haven't watched a lot of Vegas games. Like, he is amazing. Like, he's like a player that, like, he's not kind of, your elite pass rusher, but he's not far off. But, like,
right, he's in that second tier.
But we certainly made him look amazing because our O-line is fucking trash. But that's, I mean, there was, and where I think they really turned the game, not that we were ever felt like we were that in it. Like, it was after It was either after we couldn't get the touchdown, we took the field goal, or it might have been after that first interception. It was like an 8-minute drive resulting in a touchdown where they just did that. They just took what was on offer, threw underneath, picked up the yards, and gassed our defense, and ended up with a touchdown. Like, it was absolutely textbook, and it was like Matt LaFleur looked at that and gone, yeah, that's great, but we're not doing that. We are going to run Dylan into a brick wall. If he leaves without a broken leg, I haven't done my job. That was pretty much what I thought.
And they completely took out the only wide receiver I really remember doing anything last night was Watson. Dobbs was out, Wicks was out. I think Musgrave had a couple of catches like near the sideline, but Vegas did a good job of just bottling up every other thing to where it looked like Love was always looking to Watson and trying to throw to Watson. I just don't remember really anybody else besides Watson doing anything last night. He had that really nice catch. He got wide open and then ran it into Vegas territory. But other than that, I guess that was the issue with the Packers last night. I just don't remember a lot of like big splash plays, but I can remember a lot of Vegas plays where they're getting 20, 25 yards. And a lot of that's like after catch too, where they're giving these guys getting in open space. Maybe it's like an 8-10 yard throw, but then they're picking up an extra 15.
I agree, but no, that's pretty much my thoughts on the Packers. I'm hoping we can beat the bye this week. It's looking dicey.
What's funny is that there's only two teams with a bye this week, and it's the Steelers and Packers. So we're the only two teams not playing. So, we came into it. It wouldn't matter if the Steelers were 0-4 and the Ravens were 4-0. Records don't matter in these Baltimore-Pittsburgh games for some reason. It never has, especially when Tomlin and Harbaugh have been the coach. I mean, they've been the coaches there for, 16 and 14 years or something. So they've played each other for a decade and a half. The offense looked bad again, and the defense looked okay, but, they should have lost that game. The Ravens, I think, had 9 drops. A lot of them very bad drops. A couple of were dropped touchdowns and stuff like that. But when people were saying, if they catch those balls, the Steelers lose. Yeah, but if Kenny Pickett makes better throws, the Steelers win. Like, I get the argument, but that's the point of the game is, like, shit does happen. It was bad that the Ravens receivers, even Andrews was just dropping balls, but they couldn't capitalize at all. They scored, I think, their field goal was like halfway through the second quarter, and then they didn't score the rest of the game. Credit to the Steelers defense. They forced 4 fumbles. Joey Porter Jr. with his first big play in the NFL intercepts Lamar Jackson with a couple minutes left in the end zone. Poor throw by Lamar. I mean, he looked great, and then he throws way underthrown fade, and Joey Porter Jr. is able to just make a great catch on it. And that is right after the Steelers fumbled another punt. Gunnar Olszewski, who is for some reason still on this team, after he tiptoed a catch on a kickoff. Had it gone out of bounds, we would have got the ball at the 40, and he catches it and makes sure he's in bounds, and then goes out, and he's trying to get the flag to be thrown. Like, if the ball goes out on the kickoff, you're up at the 40. What are you doing, man? It's like he thought it was a punt. But anyway, that was a couple games ago. But this, he fumbles in a crucial spot. I mean, the defense just stood the Ravens up. It was 10-8 at that point. You just got a safety. You blocked the punt. You got a field goal. It's 10-8. This is the time where you fair catch it, or you just secure the ball and you try to drain the clock and have Boswell try to kick a field goal to win 11-10. Olszewski fumbles it, and they only do not score because of a practice squad guy who got called up, didn't quit on the play, and was able to tackle the Ravens gunner. And then that's when Joey Porter Jr. makes an interception. So I don't think Gunner should be on this team anymore. He's continued to make mistakes all year, and he's basically nearly cost them 2 whole games. So I'd much rather see somebody else back there at least. But regardless, The Steelers were able to come out and win. Kenny Pickett, again, somehow doesn't look great all game and then puts together a fourth quarter drive to win the game. Him and George Pickens are somehow insane together. They go down and win. Alex Highsmith strip sack. The one thing I will say, I don't know, were you able to see the end of the Steelers game at all?
I wasn't, no.
So it was, they had just scored a touchdown to make it 14-10. They failed the 2-point conversion, which I agree to go for that because then it makes it a 6-point game, and if they get a touchdown and somehow, luckily if Justin Tucker were to miss the extra point, you go into overtime. So I like that they did that, but they don't get it. So it's 14-10. The next drive, Alex Highsmith strip sacks Lamar Jackson and TJ Watt recovers. There's a minute and 10 seconds left in the game, and the Steelers have it at like the Ravens 18-yard line. They take knees with the Ravens having 2 timeouts. So Kenny Pickett takes 2 straight knees, only drains like 2 seconds off the clock. So there's just about a minute left. And then they run a running play to Najee, but they commit a penalty, which stopped the clock, okay? So they let the Ravens use their 2 timeouts on first and second down, and then they commit a penalty on third down. The Ravens decline, but it stops the clock. So now the Steelers have to kick the field goal with 56 seconds left instead of letting it go down to the 17-second mark and kick the field goal. Now, they do kick the field goal, so it's 17-10. The Ravens only have about 50 seconds with no timeouts to have to go all the way down and score a touchdown. They stop him on fourth down. TJ Watt makes the sack to end the game. But I don't understand why they took 2 knees. I understand that you don't want to lose the ball there, but you need to drain seconds off the clock there. If he takes a knee, it's barely a second off of the clock. And I know the Ravens have 2 timeouts, and they use them. But if you run a play, it's like 4 or 5 seconds. You only drain 3 seconds off on first and second down instead of 10. You want to leave them with not enough time. That penalty killed them. Had they not committed the penalty, the Ravens, would have had almost 0 time off after the kickoff. But that's the thing with Tomlin, is sometimes his clock management is just shit poor. It just didn't make any sense to me to take those knees. So even though they won, and while they were winning, they still made a boneheaded play. I'm not happy about it. I think that was a bad thing. But they end up and win. They're 3-2. They're first in the division. Did you see that that video of our offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, his reaction to the Pickens touchdown?
No.
No. Okay, so they show, I'll have to send it to you. They show, after Pickens scores the 44-some yard touchdown pass from Pickett, they show Matt Canada in the box. They show a replay of the whole box reacting to the touchdown. So you're only looking at them, and you can see everybody behind him stand up to watch the ball. Pickens catches it, runs in, and they're all going crazy. He has no reaction, nothing. He's not happy. He looks pissed, honestly. And then all of a sudden, he kind of has this weird, snaps back to reality moment where he, jumps. Almost as if he was not paying attention. Like, he was just kind of daydreaming. And then all of a sudden, it was like, oh, shit, we scored. So a lot of people think that Kenny audibled out of whatever play call he made, and he was pissed that they did that. So even though he scored a touchdown off an audible, he was mad that Kenny Pickett changed the play at the line. We don't know that for sure, but that's what a lot of people think. But we've seen that the best Kenny Pickett looks is in the hurry-up when he's calling the plays. Outside of the hurry-up, he hasn't looked good. So I would like to see them do hurry-up more and trust Kenny Pickett with play calls. But
yeah,
we're going into the bye. That's great. Try to get a little bit more healthy. We come out of the bye to play the Rams in Los Angeles. And then we have one of these rare 3-game homestands after that. So we go to LA after the bye week, and then we come home for 3 straight home games. So basically the entire month of November, the Steelers are at home. They don't have to worry about flying anywhere. They don't have to worry about any of that. Hopefully they can use that time to win, because there's no stress in the travel or anything like that. You're sleeping in your bed, you're practicing in your facilities, you're playing at home. That is when they play the Packers. I think it's the second game of that 3-game homestand. So I'm hoping they at least take 2 out of 3, if not all 3. But we'll see. I don't. Based off of how the Steelers and Packers are playing, I don't know how good that game's going to be in a couple of weeks if they don't improve.
No, I agree. Yeah.
All right.
I don't have much more to say.
All right, so that is our thoughts on the last couple of weeks for our teams. We have our picks for Week 6. So our first game here in Week 6 is Thursday night. It's Denver at Kansas City.
Kansas City for me.
You know, I am going to pick Kansas City. I think it's clear that they should win. But it would be like the ultimate meme if Denver somehow can't win a game but goes out and beats one of the best teams in the league on Thursday night. I don't see that happening. They've looked like crap. I'm also going to take Kansas City, but I think it'd be funny if that happened.
It would be. Some crazy stuff has been happening this season, but who knows? But it would be a massive... I mean, because, Kansas City aren't as playing as well as they have in the past, but it would be a massive upset.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we've got Baltimore at Tennessee.
So this is a London game, so both teams have to travel all the way out to London. Tennessee has been an enigma, where they've looked like crap, where they got crapped on by Cleveland, and then they come and they score some points. I'm going to take Baltimore. I think they bounce back in this game. I think Baltimore is a much better team. But I'm a little bit higher on Tennessee than I have been the last few weeks based on how they've played. But I'm still going to go Baltimore.
Same here.
All right. And then back stateside, we have the Washington Commanders at the Atlanta Falcons.
Hard to pick this one, but the Falcons are 3-0 at home, and given that they're at home again, I'm going to stick with them.
Yeah, Desmond Ridder hasn't lost at home in college or NFL so far this season. They've looked really well at home.
I didn't. At college as well.
Yes, he's never lost a home game
record
since high school, I think.
Wow.
So, in Cincinnati, he never lost a home game in the NFL so far. Now, I think that this should be actually a pretty good game to watch in the first section, in the 1 o'clock hour. But I will also go Atlanta.
So next up, we've got Minnesota at Chicago. What a cracker!
You know what? Based on how he's played the last 2 weeks, I'm going to take Chicago in this one.
I'm also going to take Chicago, given the fact that so Justin Jefferson's just gone on IR. So I think both these teams are bad, and I'm certainly in no way to be throwing shade on my NFC North other teams with how the Packers are going. But both are bad. But taking Jefferson out makes them badder. So yeah, Chicago for me.
All right. Then we have Seattle at Cincinnati.
I'm gonna go the home team, Cincinnati.
Yeah, they finally looked pretty good against Arizona, where as Jamar Chase said, he's 7-11. He's always open. He has, I think, like 15 receptions or something in that game.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go Seattle. I think it should be a good game, but I would like to see Seattle go in there and beat Cincinnati. So I'm gonna go with Seattle.
Next up, we've got the 49ers and the 49ers at Cleveland.
Yeah, San Francisco. I mean, they look completely unstoppable right now. Cleveland has a pretty good defense, but Dallas has an okay to pretty good defense, and they completely tore them apart. So I'm going to go San Francisco.
Definitely. Absolutely.
All right, and the next game is New Orleans at Houston.
Yeah, kind of a tough one, actually. I'm going to pick the Saints just because I never feel like I can take the Texans, but the Saints have been a bit unpredictable. I mean, not that I think the Patriots is a great team, but they looked pretty good against them last game.
Yeah, they kicked the crap out of the Patriots. Houston is starting to come around after their rebuild. I mean, C.J. Stroud has just been completely balling out since he's come into the league. They're playing at home. I'm actually going to take Houston in this one.
So next up we've got the Colts at Jacksonville.
I'm leaning more towards Jacksonville. I mean, Jacksonville was able to just go and beat Buffalo, which is a pretty good team. It depends on if Anthony Richardson is going to play for Indianapolis or not, if it's going to be Gardner Minshew. Not to say that he's a terrible quarterback, but Anthony Richardson has played pretty well since he's been in there. But I think Jacksonville could takes this momentum, and they should be able to beat Indianapolis. So I'm going to take Jacksonville at home.
I am also going to take them at home. I think it's going to be a pretty close game. But yeah, kind of when I don't know, I just go the home team. So.
The next one is Carolina at Miami.
I'm going to go the Dolphins. You know,
it's a coin flip.
Yeah. I think the Dolphins will be pretty comfy.
Yeah. I'm also going to go Miami. Carolina is not a very good team, and Bryce Young has not played very well. So I don't see that turning around against a pretty solid Miami team. So Miami.
Yeah. And I hope that came across as facetious as I meant it. Halfway, I'm like, do people actually think I'm tossing this up? Cool. So we've got New England at Las Vegas.
Las Vegas isn't a very good team, but New England is a very, very bad team. So I'm going to go Las Vegas.
Yep. I am actually going to go the Patriots because both are bad. And before I've actually changed my mind during this recording. I came in, I was going to pick the Raiders, which is always a bad thing. Usually when you go away from your first call, it works out, but it doesn't work out. But I just think the Raiders are an awful team, and unfortunately we made them look competent. So I'm going to go the Patriots.
All right. Next up, we have Detroit at Tampa Bay.
Yeah, look, before this season I would have gone Tampa, but you know, unfortunately, I think I was just hoping this line's looking like a good team was just a mirage, but it doesn't look like that. So, Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit has played great at home. They put up a ton of points, but they went in the Green Bay and completely dismantled the Packers. So I think Tampa Bay is better than people think they are after Brady left. Baker Mayfield's been playing pretty well, but I think Detroit's the better team, so I'm going to go Detroit.
Arizona at Los Angeles.
Josh Dobbs has played really well. The Cardinals have been pretty competitive in nearly all the games that they've played. But Matt Stafford has played pretty well since he's come back from injury. He has Cooper Kupp. I'm going to say Los Angeles wins this one.
Same here.
All right. The next one is Philadelphia at the New York Jets.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go Philadelphia.
I mean, they should be able to win pretty easily. I mean, New York doesn't have an offense. I mean, they're just not good. They beat a bad Denver team. So, you know, maybe they're feeling better about themselves, but Philadelphia should be able to go into East Rutherford, New Jersey, and just completely crush the Jets. So, yeah, I'm going to go Philadelphia.
Then the second last game is the Giants at the Buffalo Bills.
I'm going to pick Buffalo to rebound this week. Playing at home, Sunday Night Football, get to sleep in their own bed for a little bit here. I'm going to go Buffalo.
Same here. You know, the Giants aren't good. So, yeah.
And our last game, Monday Night Football, is the Dallas Cowboys at the Los Angeles Chargers.
I think this is I really found this one hard to pick. I think it'll be pretty close, but I'm going to go the Cowboys.
I am going to go Los Angeles in this one. Primetime Dak has been, he's kind of like the opposite of Kirk Cousins, where Kirk Cousins doesn't really do that well. So I'm going to go Los Angeles in this one. I think this should be a better game than how Dallas got destroyed by San Francisco. Obviously, LA isn't as good as San Francisco. But I think it'll be a shootout, and I think Los Angeles has the better offense to do that. So I'm going to pick LA. So those are our picks for Week 6 here. Again, the only two teams that have a bye are the Steelers and Packers, so we can't lose this week. So we won't have a shitty time at work on Monday next week. So
well, that's exactly right.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing. Leave a comment down below how you think this week is going to go. But again, thanks for listening, and have a nice day.
See you guys.